Yep.
All right. Go ahead, start them. So in-cab inspection, I entered the truck with 3 points of contact facing towards the middle of the vehicle. Very first thing I touch is my seat and my seat belt. Seat belt's not ripped or torn. It's properly secured to the floor and also up to the top of the cab. I'll make sure it properly latches, properly unlatches. I'm gonna make sure it's hooked. I will ask the tester to check hers as well. My seat, properly secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's properly adjusted to me. My mirrors, they're clean, not cracked, bent, or broken, properly secured. They're properly adjusted to me. I go up top. I've got my permit book. This has my registration and proof of insurance. Make sure it's all up to date and it's present within arm's reach. Move down to my windshield. It's prop mount secure, not cracked, bent, or broken. There's no starbursts bigger than a dime. No cracks bigger than a 1/4 inch in my line of sight. Nothing's obstructing my view. Pretty much nothing's in my direct line of sight. There's no more than an inch long of a fog line around the edge of my windshield. My weather stripping is prop mount secured, not cut, torn, not leaking, and it's not dry rotted or missing. Turn the truck on. I got my windshield wipers. Make sure my washer fluid is properly spraying. Make sure there's proper tension on my windshield wipers. Make sure there's no streaking. If there is streaking, I also want to make sure that my wiper blades are not dry rotted, cracked, cut, torn, or missing. All right, then I move down to my dash. My dash is free of debris. Got my defrost. Make sure my defroster is working, which it is. Then I'll move down to my feet, make sure that my heater is working for my safety, which it is. I turn it all off. I'm gonna do my left turn signal, right turn signal indicators, my high beam indicators, my full wave flashers indicators, and my dash brightener or dimmer. That's all properly working. My steering wheel, this is a 20-inch steering wheel. I want to make sure there's no more than 2 inches of play or 10% of the diameter of the steering wheel. We got my city horn, my air horn. They're all properly working. Make sure my valves aren't sticking. Make sure the trailer trolley valve is not sticking. Our brake pedal and throttle aren't sticking and they're free of debris. Nothing's obstructing my path. My shifter's prop mount secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. It's not sticking as well. This is how I shift my gears. Make sure my steering wheel's properly adjusted to me as well. I believe that's it. Did I miss anything, you guys?
I don't think so. No debris on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, that's cleanliness and your safety. It's not required.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm going to move on. Oh, my gauges. Got my water temperature gauge on my top left, properly working. Whenever I first turn my key on, my gauges will swipe to let me know that all my needles are working. Water temperature has to be within 100 to 200 degrees, or 180 to 200 degrees for normal operating ranges. Right below it, I got my oil pressure gauge. It's going to start off high, but once the motor warms up, it's going to start getting lower. Usually hovers around 60 psi or 50 psi. Got my DEF gauge, properly working. It corresponds with what's actually in my DEF tank. Got my tachometer properly working. My speedometer properly working. It's calibrated within 5 miles an hour. I'll make sure it's calibrated right whenever I do my service brake test. I got my diesel gauge. It corresponds with the amount of diesel fuel that's in my tanks. I got my primary and secondary air gauges. I'm not at maximum air pressure right now, but they are reading about 100 psi. Once I'm done with my inspection, I'm going to pump it all the way up to maximum air pressure to make sure it's at 125 psi. I also have my voltmeter, which is reading between 12 to 14 volts while charging. All right, that is everything. So now I'm going to move on to my 3-point air brake test, or my standing test. I'm going to proceed with a safe start. Truck's in neutral, parking brakes are engaged. I'm going to start her up. If you guys want, this is when you want to hop out and chalk your wheels before you start the truck. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and build my air pressure up to maximum air pressure. I'm going to assist the motor. No, I'm at maximum air pressure whenever I hear the sneeze of my air governor coming out. There's my sneeze. Alright, so now I'm gonna turn my motor off. I'm gonna turn it to the accessory position, so all my gauges are working. Alright. Now I am gonna do my initial loss. I'm gonna release both sets of my brakes. I can't lose more than 10% or 12 psi of air pressure once it stabilizes. It's stabilized whenever the hissing stops. So I'm gonna go ahead and release them. Alright, hissing stopped. I did not lose more than 12 psi. Now I'm going to move on my static test. I'm not going to touch anything. I can't lose more than 3 psi in 1 minute for a combination vehicle equipped with air brakes. So I'm going to count for a minute. I did not lose more than 3 psi within that minute. So now I'm going to move on to my applied loss. I'm going to firmly apply my service brake. I can't lose more than 4 psi in 1 minute for a combination vehicle equipped with air brakes. Alright, it's been about a minute. I'm not lose more than 4 psi. So now I'm going to move on. Now I'm going to fan my brakes down to around 60 psi, where my visual and my audible alarms let me know that I have low air pressure, should turn on. Alright, my visual alarms have turned on. In a Volvo, audible alarm won't turn on unless the motor is actually running. So lets me know that my low air warning system is working properly. Now I'm going to fan my brakes to between 20 to 45 psi, and my spring brakes should activate. Both valves will pop out. Alright, my spring brakes or my emergency brakes have activated. Alright, so now my next step, this is where you can hop out, remove the chalk, or if you have to move the vehicle, I would wait. So now I'm going to proceed with a safe start. Truck's in neutral, parking brakes are engaged. I'm going to start her up. There's my audible alarm. Like I said, it won't sound unless the motor is actually running. Alright, so now I'm going to assist my truck up to around 80 psi. From 80 to 100 psi, it should not take more than 45 seconds to build by itself. So I'm going to assist the motor. I've reached 60 psi. My alarms have turned off, which lets me know that my alarms are still working properly. Just continue to assist till I'm about 80 psi. Now I'm at about 80. So now I'm going to let her carry herself. I'm not going to assist the motor. It should take no more than 45 seconds to reach 100. Side did not take longer than 45 seconds. So now I'm going to assist the motor to reach maximum air pressure, which is around 125 to 130 psi. I'll know that whenever I hear the governor sneeze again. And there's the sneeze. Let me know I'm at maximum air pressure. That concludes my 3-point air brake test. So now I'm going to move on to my pull test. I'm going to pull against my tractor parking brake and my trailer emergency brakes. Make sure that they both will hold. Put her in drive. Alright, they're holding. So now I am going to test my tractor parking brake. So I'm going to push in my trailer air supply valve. My tractor parking brakes are holding. Now I'm going to engage my emergency brakes. I'm going to release my tractor parking brakes. Now I'm testing my emergency brakes for my trailer. Alright, they're holding as well. So now I'm going to release both sets of brakes. I'm going to engage my trolley valve, which is testing my trailer service brakes only. Again, I'm going to tug against it. 5 miles per hour, and I'm going to test my service brakes for my tractor and my trailer. Whenever I hit the brake, it should not pull left or right, which could indicate that a brake's out of adjustment. I got a low tire pressure, a suspension problem, or a shift in my load. I'm going to roll about 5 miles an hour. This is also whenever I'm checking to make sure my gauge is calibrated properly. There was no pulling left or right, so everything is good. Okay, I'm going to back up into the spot. And that concludes my tug test. Now this is the point when you want to ask the tester that you assist me in my leg test.